Okay, students, so I've chosen three resumes that you all submitted to the resume peer review discussion board. And I've taken the names off of them, but if it's yours, you'll definitely recognize it. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an overview of the kinds of comments I'll be leaving for you in these, in the grading of the resumes. So we're going to start with this one. This one uses a header. So actually created a separate header. I've put X's in here for the student's name and address and phone number and email address. But this student chose to use what is called a sans serif font, which is a font like Arial or Helvetica, which has no little tendrils or things falling off of the letters. Like Times New Roman is a serif font, for example. So this student chose to write an objective statement that says experienced hostess and cheer coach bringing a bubbly and positive attitude to the workplace, trained in customer service with high volume dining and with building a winning team, dedicated and motivated. So this is excellent that these verbs all match in tense. Past tense verbs, experienced, trained, dedicated, and motivated. That's great. So if this student had a specific job or a specific internship that the student was striving to achieve, this objective statement would need to be clearer and more specific to what that is and what those desired qualities in a candidate would be. So now, I've stressed in this assignment that you guys need to write a chronological resume because you all are college students and your book talks about chronological resumes for students. Now, this happens to not be a chronological resume. What needs to happen next after the objective is the education section. It's crucially important that you guys put that next because if you're, say, applying for a position at Sandia National Laboratories as a technical writing intern, they're not going to be as interested in your, didn't mean to do that, in your cheer coaching experience or your server and hostess experience at a restaurant. That obviously is great experience, as is this bookkeeping experience, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to that more professional oriented goal that one might have. So your education really needs to come next. So here is the education section. So this is correct. It's in the right order, the most recent to the oldest. So this, though, needs to be moved up, as I said, to the second item or the first in some of yours if you don't have an objective statement. And there needs to be much more detail. So majoring in criminology, minoring in professional writing, provide a subsection that says relevant coursework. You don't include the course numbers because that doesn't matter. What they are at UNM isn't what they are at other schools, but the names of the courses. This doesn't quite match. We have majoring in criminology and minoring in professional writing. This is a verb, as is this, but then this is a full, and this is a fragment. This is a full sentence. I was in cheerleading for all 4 years and in student government for my senior year. Those are activities, cheerleading and student government, and they're great accomplishments. But this is a whole sentence, so it doesn't match. It's not parallel with the item underneath the above item. So you need to make sure that they are structured the same. So skills could be a bullet pointed list rather than these long phrases. So this is another one that has a bit more going on in terms of glyph usage. You have this kind of bullet point, you have an empty circle bullet point, and you have several different margins. We've got the left margin, we've got this one level of indentation which matches this. We've got one more level here. I talked about this in my previous video. This student has a lot of different experience and education does come second, but I do quibble a little bit with this profile section. You probably wouldn't put this in. It's not in any of your books examples that I remember, unless the employer to which you're applying specifically asks for this. This is information that you would convey in your cover letter, not in your resume itself. You don't want anybody for any reason to discriminate against you because of your age or because of your gender. So you leave that information out. You don't want any personal information that is not necessary to be contained in the resume. that is really at home in the cover letter, where you give a lot more dimension and personality to the basic information included in the resume. So this student says, education, University of New Mexico, still enrolled. That's true, but that is redundant because it repeats what this information says. Still enrolled. August 2014 to present. Well, I know that because you just said still enrolled up here. Candidate for a BS in elementary education, focus in mathematics and statistics. That's great. Dean's List. This is all pretty good. Eastmount High School, received honors, graduated. So work experience, that's all fine. P card department and the date here. So then volunteer experience. One thing you'll notice here is that the font changes. So this is Dido 12 point and this is Baskerville 12 point. So when I open this as a Word document, you'll see a change. You don't want your reader's eye to be confused for any reason. Other things you'll notice is there's a space missing between May and 2010 there. Again, those are small things. You might think that like I'm neurotic for looking at them, but it's indicative of a person's level of attention to detail. And you don't want a prospective employer to have any question about your capacity to have a very high level of attention to detail. Okay, so now the last one I want to point to is this one. This one is a lot less developed than the other two that we saw. It includes a centered header that happens to have an extra space after Albuquerque and before the comma. You don't want small glitches like that. So qualifications: strong leadership, organizational, problem solving, planning, interpersonal communication skills. So strong leadership, problem solving, planning, interpersonal communication skills, those are all the same sort of thing, but organizational stands out. It's not the same kind of word here. Work experience, I told you already that education needs to go next. Now, if you look at this, this is bold, 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 and there's no differentiation in the margin usage. So everything's all at the left. We have a big block of content here that's all bolded, so there's no differentiation to the eye for what the different kinds of content is. So we have headers here with subheaders also in bold, and then the description of what this resume writer did is not bold, but here we have a heading, and then the things beneath it are also in bold, so it's confusing. I'm not sure how to use this document, so that's problematic. So the education information needs to be moved up, and it needs to have more development to it. So this student also presumably is a student at UNM currently, because the student is enrolled in this class. So that should be the very first thing that should say, you know, the dates of enrollment, certain date to present, and include the degree program the student is in and the relevant coursework if that seems worth including. So I'm going to not develop this set of comments further than what I've done already, because I think you've gotten a good sense of what I think strong attributes of resumes are, and not just in my opinion, but what works for the user of these documents, and what some aspects are in resumes that might need a little bit of attention and work. So please, I hope that you've all watched this before you do your final revision of your resumes to turn in on Monday.